friends, welcome back to my channel. We're here today with a book haul. I got quite a few books in January, and we're using quite a few to mean a lot. I bought some ebooks, but I don't consider those in my book haul. Like, I've brought them into my reading sphere so I can read them. But generally, when I do book hauls, we're talking about physical books that I have bought or been gifted. And today I'm going to share them with you because the reason for book hauls is so I can share with you the books that I have got recently and that I'm probably going to be reading soon. So this year, I have a classics TBR / backlist TBR, a long list. I shared that with you at the beginning of the month, the beginning of the year. And I told you these are some of the books that I want to read this year. And I've started acquiring some of them. This shelf right here is books that I want to read this year. Some of them I've already owned, but a few of the books on that list are books that I didn't yet have, and so have a reason to buy. So the first book on my book haul is a book that I bought because I want to read it this year. This is A Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. This is a classic, and this is a Wordsworth Classic Edition that I bought on Amazon. So yeah, the first book that I bought in 2022, I bought from Amazon. I feel like that's not good, but it is what it is. This book cost me $3.95 plus tax is $4.30. I like the cover. I really like the cover of this book. The print is pretty small, but I'm going to try it out. If I like it, I haven't read it yet. If I feel like I can get on with the print, then I may buy other books in this series because I do want to buy more of these classics for that TBR. So for now, this is my sample, my tester. I'm going to be reading this later this year. It's almost 500 pages. These are books that I could get on my library website, or some of these classics are available for you to read for free. But when I'm reading a book of this length, I much prefer to have a paper copy. So that's why I bought this one. The next book I got was a gift from Sharon, who is one of our book club members. She sent me this beautiful portrait collection, Earth Magic by Joan Brand, who's a Trinidadian author, and is illustrated by a woman who is from Canada, I think. Eugenie Fernandez is one of Canada's most established children's authors. She also spent some time in the Caribbean, I think, as a child. So that definitely comes through in these illustrations and the poetry. And when this book came in, my daughter started going through it immediately. So we have flipped through some of the poems, and this is going to be one of the poetry collections that we go a little deeper in for Black History Month. This is how my daughter is going to participate in Black History Month this year. Well, one of the ways, because we read a lot together. So Earth Magic by Joan Brand, illustrations by Eugenie Fernandez, and thank you, Sharon, for this beautiful, wonderful gift. So thoughtful, so much appreciated. This is a book that I know we will read and love for many years to come. So thank you again, Sharon. Other books that I got, more gifts. My friend Laura, who's also a book club member, offered me a copy of this book because it was one of the book club picks in December, and she didn't really get on with it too much. So when I told her I'd take this off her hands, she also sent me 2 other books in this quartet. The Havana series, written by Leonardo Padura, a Cuban author. These are a crime thriller series following a detective, Lieutenant Mario Conde, and he's operating in Cuba. And we're reading a little bit about the Cuban culture through his crime fighting, his detective work. And so yeah, these are 3 of the 4 books in that series, and thank you so much, Laura, for sending these to me. I didn't necessarily love the book that I read out of the series thus far, but I'm always looking to try again with an author. So I'm going to be starting over. I'm going to be reading the books in the series 1, 2, 3, 4, and seeing what I learn about Cuba, because I still don't know a lot about Cuba. And I feel like any reading any experience, any growth in knowledge is good. So I didn't necessarily love Havana Red, but I'm going to try Havana Gold and Havana Blue and see what I think. So thank you, Laura, for these, but also for this one, Writers and Lovers by Lily King. This is much appreciated. I've wanted to read this book since I saw the title because I thought it was going to be a nonfiction kind of, how to write. But it's a novel. It is a novel by Lily King. She's the author of Euphoria. And this is what Lily King looks like. She's from Maine. I didn't know that. So yeah, Lily King wrote this novel about a woman who is blindsided by her mother's sudden death and wrecked by a recent love affair. And she arrives in Massachusetts in the summer of 1997 without a plan. One of the things I'm doing this year, not necessarily actively right now, but I'm just tracking the states in the United States where books that I'm reading are set. So how I'm traveling across the United States through books this year. And I've already read Massachusetts, so I don't have to prioritize this, right? Joking. But thank you, Laura, for sending these books my way. I love getting bookish gifts. The next two books are connected. They are a self-help book, Who Are You Following by Sadie Robertson Huff. And this is about pursuing Jesus in a social media obsessed world. And it also came with a guided journal. So these were sent to me by the publishers, Thomas Nelson, and my relationship with TLC Book Tours. So I'm going to be reading and reviewing this one on my blog later this year. I think it's in February. It may also be March. I'm not sure, but later. So they sent me this one, and I think they sent me this just as a gift to accompany the book. So a guided journal. I love journals. I love journaling. I'm going to be talking about my reading journal in an upcoming video. And yeah, so pretty excited to have these. Who are you following? Do you want to be noticed or do you want to be known is what the back cover says. Follows, likes, hits, let's be honest, they're fun to get. But in a world obsessed with following and being followed, do you ever wonder what you're really searching for or who is influencing you most? That's interesting. Speaking of books from publishers, Penguin Random House sent me Prayers for the Stolen by Jennifer Clement, which is highly anticipated. This is set in Mexico and we're following a girl who leaves home because there's some violence and there's some stuff happening in her hometown, and she gets a job where she can maybe go a little further away to work and hopefully start a new life for herself. But of course, the story doesn't end there. So I'm looking forward to reading this. One of the goals that I set for myself this year is that even when publishers send me books without a specific date for a review, I want to read and review those books within a reasonable time. I'm saying about 2 months. So I got this in January. I would like to read this before the end of February. So let's see. The next book that I got from the publishers was The Doorman by Peter Wheelwright. And this one I think is self-published. This one is set in 1917 during the construction of a large reservoir in the Catskill hamlet of Gilboa, New York. A young paleontologist identified fossils from an ancient forest flooded millions of years ago when the Earth's botanical explosion of oxygen opened a path for the evolution of humankind. When I read the synopsis of this, I was really interested. I like nature writing, I like nature books, and I feel like this is going to explore a little bit of nature with history, with geology, with historical fiction, and I'm intrigued. So I'm going to be reading and reviewing this pretty soon, so more on that later. I am doing a challenge. There's a book challenge that I participate in on Facebook, and there are 10 categories, and you choose the books that you want to read to meet each of those 10 prompts. And one of the prompts for this round of the challenge is to read a book with King in it. So I chose King Lear, Shakespeare's King Lear, because I've never read it. And this is my year for trying to catch up on some of those classics that I have never read. So I look for opportunities where I can insert books that I already wanted to read into these challenges. So I bought this copy of King Lear from Amazon. Again, this is a mass market paperback, and it cost me $5 or so. And I wanted to get this one because these Folger Shakespeare editions come with the notes in the book. So the book looks a little bit thicker because the text of the play is only on one side and the other side is reserved for notes. I use a copy from this series when I was reading Romeo and Juliet with a class that I used to work with in high school back when I was in college, as a long time ago. But I like this. I like that there are notes next to the, not just footnotes, but like real notes and pictures and illustrations. And so, yeah, I'm going to be reading King Lear very soon. So I have my own copy and you'll hear me quoting Shakespeare on here. Not. Maybe, who knows? Aside from that, Penguin Random House sent me some other books that I'm really appreciative of. Joan Is Okay, or Joan Is Okay, I'm not sure. I think the title is just Joan Is Okay by Wiki Wang. I'm really excited to get this because Wiki Wang wrote Chemistry that I loved several years ago. Chemistry was about a woman who was a chemistry PhD student or biochemistry PhD student. And I read it at a time when I was also doing my graduate work in chemical engineering. She wrote a lot about the experience of being a grad student and the monotony of research, these open-ended investigations where you hope for something, but in the meantime, you're also looking for all these other things and kind of what that means. And I just felt like this character was so familiar to me. So I'm hoping that Joan is going to give me a little bit of that nostalgia of grad school, but without the experience of actually being in grad school again. So I'm looking forward to reading Joan Is Okay. I'm also going to be participating in the Random House book club this month. So they're going to be discussing this book and I'm looking forward to hearing from the author in the book club discussion. So very excited about this one. I'm going to be reading it pretty soon. Penguin Random House also sent me Otherlands by Thomas Halliday. This is subtitled A Journey Through Earth's Extinct Worlds. I'm really excited and interested to learn about paleontology and archaeology and what the science has found over the last few decades, because there's a lot about research, a lot of the research findings that are a little suspect for me. So I'm looking forward to reading this book and learning something, learning a little bit more about the proof of what has been found and what I can learn from these archaeological investigations. So I don't know yet what I'm going to get from this book, but I'm looking forward to the experience of learning. The synopsis says the past is the past, but it does leave clues, and Thomas Halliday, a brilliant young paleobiologist, has used cutting-edge science to decipher them more completely than ever before. In Otherlands, Halliday makes 16 fossil sites reaching back 550 million years burst to life on the page. This book is an exploration of the Earth as it used to exist, the changes that have occurred during its history, and the ways that life has found to adapt or not. So, I don't know. Thomas Halliday is a young scientist, so I'm hoping that his writing is going to connect in a way that maybe other books that I've read on this subject haven't. So looking forward to getting to that. And then another book from Penguin Random House, this time a novel, Very Cold People by Sarah Mangoose. So at the end of this video, I'm going to insert a reel that I did for Instagram where I mentioned Very Cold People. I thought that this was just such a cool title to share on a winter night. Again, Massachusetts. For Ruthie, the frozen town of Waitsfield, Massachusetts is all she has ever known. So, as I'm mentioning this, I'll tell you, I recently read Ethan Frome by Edith Wharton, which is set in Starkfield, Massachusetts in winter, and it's very atmospheric because we're talking and thinking about the cold circumstances and how the people are themselves cold because they've just been in this like wintry fog for a while. And so it's interesting that these two books in this haul are also mentioning Massachusetts in winter, as though Massachusetts is like Greenland or something. But when it's really cold outside, but you're one of those very cold people, so you're staying in to read. One more book that I have to share with you. This is a small one. This is the Relationship Playbook for Women, 7 Questions for You and Your Soulmate by Yvette Ware. She's a friend on Instagram. She recently I think self-published this one, so she sent it to me. I'm going to be reading and reviewing it in February because she is a Black woman and I'm featuring Black women and Black authors as much as I can in February. So those are the books that I have gotten, bought, been gifted, received. Those are the books that have come to me in the last month or so. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you saw some books here that you are as excited about as I am, and I would love to hear from you in the comments down below what you've gotten recently that you're most excited about reading. If you've read it already, maybe you're one of those people who goes to the bookstore and buys a book and just comes home and read it. Yeah, I'm not one of those people. I collect books and then I make my way through those stacks slowly as I continue to get even more books. But would love to hear about your process. So thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs up. And let's chat in the comments. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.